Hitler's eyes remained fixed on the model of the Empire State Building, as if he could already hear the screams of the city from across the ocean, and he imagines the psychological collapse of the United States when the first bombs fall on Manhattan. This obsession with a single spectacular strike was a hallmark of the Nazi leadership, who often chose grand and theatrical gestures over sound military strategy, believing that a weapon of enough scale could win the war in a single afternoon. The scene captures the eerie silence of the planning rooms, where the fate of millions was discussed as if it were a simple game of chess played on a global map with no regard for the human cost.
As the camera slowly pulls back, we see the vastness of the Atlantic Ocean standing as a natural barrier that the German Luftwaffe is determined to conquer through sheer engineering brutality. The light in the chancellery dims until only the glow of the fire in the hearth illuminates Hitler's face, reflecting a man who is ready to set the entire world on fire just to see his enemies burn. This is the beginning of a journey into the heart of a technological nightmare, where the line between genius and insanity completely disappears, and where the ultimate target is not just a city, but the very spirit and survival of the free world itself, as the Nazi war machine begins to pivot its gaze toward the West.
The year is 1942, and the tide of the war is beginning to shift as the United States pours its massive industrial might into the conflict, which leads a furious Hermann Goering to summon the top aeronautical minds of the Third Reich to a high-stakes meeting. In a secluded mountain retreat where the air is thin and the pressure is suffocating, the Reichsmarshal stands before a map of the world with his jewel-encrusted baton pointing toward the North American coastline, while he bellows about the humiliation of the recent Doolittle raid on Tokyo and demands that Germany must strike back at the American heartland with a vengeance that will be remembered for centuries.
He issues an impossible tender to companies like Messerschmitt and Junkers and Heinkel, requiring a bomber capable of carrying a 5,000-kilogram payload over a distance of 6,000 kilometers without any possibility of landing to refuel. The engineers sit in a stunned and terrifying silence because they know that based on the current engine technology, such a request defies the very limits of chemical propulsion and aerodynamics. They look at each other with wide eyes, knowing that to tell Goering his dream is impossible is to risk being labeled a defeatist or a saboteur, which, in the eyes of the Gestapo, is a death sentence. Yet behind the scenes, there is a strange and almost dark humor among the technical staff, who joke that they would need to build a plane made of paper filled with nothing but high-octane fuel just to get it off the ground.